7th day of the strike, the company ordered an injunction against the union. This injunction limited the picketers to 5 at each of 3 entrances to the mine site. That's bad enough. But what is worse, union members or anyone with knowledge of our strike is not allowed to verbally or by signs ask anyone not to cross our picket line.
Well, that's the way they're trying to push us down, eh? That we feel that way, but we don't feel that we're doing anything wrong. There's been no violence, and yet they keep pressing the issues and pressing it.
An injunction is by its nature not a criminal remedy but a civil remedy. One party sues another in the civil courts and asks for an injunction as a remedy. So in this case, the Potash Corporation of Saskatchewan sued the union and its members in the civil courts and asked for an injunction. And they have got an interim injunction.
It's probably the worst injunction in Canada. It's a total farce when it comes to talking about freedom of expression or free collective bargaining when you relate it to the Lanigan dispute. Because the people that are on the picket line are not allowed to stop anybody and ask them not to cross their picket line. In fact, one could say that the interpretation of the injunction is such that the only purpose of those pickets being there is for the safe conduct of scabs, or the safe conduct of management persons who want to go in and by going through the line intimidate people.
On August 11th and 12th, many picketers and their wives took to mass picketing. But August the 13th has been called Black Wednesday by us, as it was the day that the riot squad arrived in little old Lanigan.
This is just a group of RCMP from neighboring detachments. We have a tactical squad on standby. Thank God we didn't have to use them.
As it happens, the company is in a position of being able to proceed in both arenas. The company is proceeding in the civil case to try and get 15 union members committed to jail for contempt of court. So in effect what's happened is that, at least as far as those 15 is concerned, an effort is being made to have them punished in the civil action for contempt of court and in a criminal action for a violation of Section 116 of the Criminal Code.
There is one person on this crew who hasn't been charged, and then there's 10 on the crew. So it's, I don't think we're a bunch of criminals or anything. You know, we certainly don't consider ourselves criminals.
The riot squad parked within 8 miles of our, well, not even that, 3 miles of our picket line with dogs and riot gear. And I guess they brought about 60 RCMP in there to arrest us. And these guys were, I think, the frightened ones. They didn't know what to expect. But everybody just went along peacefully. Not glad to go, I will assure you. Quite angry. I was taken to Regina and processed there. I guess we were in jail a couple hours. It's an experience. It's a good one. I've never been in jail before. I think I should thank PCS.
I'll be right there. Okay, bye. What's happening now? Well, I was Gib on the phone. He wants me to take the other car and follow him and a bunch of guys into Saskatoon. I guess some of the guys were taken into Saskatoon and some are in Regina. And there's about 5 or 6 cars going into Saskatoon to pick up the guys, and the picket bus is on its way to Regina already, so the guy should be home tonight.
I guess it shows some of the incredibility, I suppose, of the divine government in their attempt to so-called negotiate a collective agreement at Lanigan.
Because of the court injunction, we don't have a big wide picket line, so people are crossing, and normally the company's doing whatever they have to do. We've kept the contractors out, and that hasn't helped. We've disobeyed the injunction, and that hasn't helped. It resulted in a lot of charges for us, and it really didn't bother the company. It kept them off work for a couple of days, but it never moved them at all.
The use of injunctions, the use of the courts, and the use of the police to enforce a management position removes the focus from the issues that the strike is about, or in the Suncor case, the lockout was about, and try to focus it on issues of people, issues of bad people, the strikers or the people that are locked out.
One of the main dangers from the viewpoint of the individual is to focus attention on the legal procedures governing picketing, to focus attention on the processes in the courts and the labor boards and appropriate provinces, rather than on the substantive economic injustices which are causing the problem, to which picketing is part of the solution from the workers' point of view. Far better, it seems to me, to focus the individual's attention and the media's attention on the substantive economic injustices in society which make unions, collective bargaining and picketing necessary in the first place.
The main issue is the rollbacks that they unilaterally imposed on us. 25% of the people underground had their rates cut, $2 and $3 an hour. Just by reclassification, they said, well, we don't need all these first-rate operators, and they all do the same work. And so it's strictly a money-saving measure on their part. There's no job reclassification as such. It's strictly a wage cut.
And it appears that through the reclassification that it's a good way to get rid of the women, put them on jobs that a regular strong man couldn't do.
Job security, I think that's gone by the boards. If you look at the labor movement across the whole country, there's no such thing as job security. They're using layoffs as inventory control.
Then the straw that broke the camel's back was the corporation saying that it's okay to go down the mine without a hoist operator that knows what he's doing. It's all right, just go ahead and do it, we'll look after you. Well, there's some people that don't want that, and I don't blame them. When you're thinking about going underground, you want to also have someone that's going to bring you back up.
Not being qualified is a crime, really. You can't run those things unless you're qualified. There's too much at stake. There's people's lives. You're going straight down for over half a mile in that cage. That's nothing to play with.
Shortly after the change of government in 1982, the first thing that the Tory government did within the Department of Labor was, in fact, suspend the Work Environment Board. Since then, I am told by the leaders of the certified unions that occupational health and safety conditions have deteriorated in the potash mines. And this has been made public as well. And in terms of the Lanigan situation, they have had wildcats. If one could see what workers give of themselves in work, in the product, the blood, the cancers, the diseases, the injuries, the pain, suffering, day-to-day humiliations and punishments, women who have to stand all day going home tired, low back problems, crying, lifting, ordered about, come here, do this, hurry up over there, get over there, the humiliations. If you could see that in the product, then we would have a better idea how workers sacrifice day to day.
The last week in August, the company finally offered us a contract. It was super enough for a 90% rejection vote. The company must have thought that we had disintegrated as a union, for they offered, number one, no back-to-work agreement, but rather that they be able to discipline anyone involved with the strike. Number two, that they be able to lay us off any time with no notice for up to 6 days. Number three, the rollbacks were still there. And number four, something less than a 6% raise over 4 years. Although money is tight, we celebrated that rejection.
Yeah, I was quite shocked even when they called the riot squad in. It was an overreaction if I ever saw one.
That's for sure. How's the money doing? We sent out a couple of appeals. We've been getting a good response.
Yeah, really good. Boy, that's encouraging also because it kind of tells the people out here that we're not fighting alone.
It certainly made the impression on everybody that this government that owns the mine isn't about to do any favors for working people. This strike could have been settled a long time ago if the political will was there to do it. Obviously, it's not. And it's become symbolic that these guys have not caved in under pressure, and they're just as strong as they were the day they went out.
We've stuck together. We're pretty strong out here.
Oh, is your husband home?
No, he's not here at the moment.
Are you sure about that?
Yes, I'm sure. He's been gone all day. He's not at the union office.
You're sure?
Yes, positive.
Okay. Tell him to call us when he comes home.
I'm wondering if we're not going to have to do something to keep the ladies together and informed during the course of the strike. Maybe we could form some kind of a support group, a group where we can, I don't know, be together and at least share our feelings with somebody else that's going through the same things that we are right now.
The next thing on our agenda is our trip to Unity to do the skip.
The support group works in conjunction with the Strike Strategy Committee. And the Strike Strategy Committee is basically the executive and your bargaining committee for the union.
He's also asked the Ministerial Association if he can go to their superiors like the United Church Council and the Lutheran Church of Canada and the Canadian Conference of Catholic Bishops. And rather than have the ministers which are really involved and are really stuck in the middle, and although they're maybe misguided, their intentions are really good, but they're kind of playing both ends against the middle.
Some have approached me. Some have actually blamed the church. They haven't done more, or have blamed the ministerial here in the area that we haven't done more. But sometimes it's difficult to do something under the circumstances, because so often what happens is if you start to speak up one side or the other side, all we are doing is creating a division, because we do deal with management and with union.
With the strike on, it's really, we really noticed in ourselves. Our sales have been down quite a bit, and none of those people that are on strike are buying nothing, very little. And I can understand that, but it's really hurt sales, and I'd like to see the strike get settled. And
it's through the Good and Welfare Committee that the 922 store operates. We started because once we went out on strike, we did approach the stores here in town. We only have one major grocery store. We did lower prices, pineapple, cookies, neat things like that. Well, that didn't do us any good, so we decided we'd better do something about supplying our people with lower food costs. Our people come down here, usually they come down with a cup of coffee. You talk about the little scatsy rumors that they've heard during the course of, since the last time they were in. If they've got any real questions, there's always one of the executive upstairs to answer questions if they want to know what's going on.
Well, we're on the picket captain's meeting. Rothman yesterday went in with 3 loads of cement.
I suppose the company, we'd like to see them kind of back off in some of their hard-nosed positions, and that a lot of times it doesn't seem like they want a settlement. But we feel if they'd give a little bit, we could maybe find some areas where we could maybe move a little bit.
In the defense and in the argument in relation to the injunction, the union had raised the question that what in fact was being sought was not merely to control picketing, but in fact to prevent the exercise of the right of peaceful assembly, and as well the right of freedom of expression to communicate to persons the fact that there was a strike.
It's not just a matter of appearance by a lawyer in court. The charges are vicious, and the activities of the police on the picket line are vicious. They don't treat those people as people, and they're not criminals. They're people that are out there saying, I don't like the conditions under which I was working, and damn it, I want to tell somebody.
The law of picketing has always been concerned with bargaining power. There may have been an under-the-table hidden agenda item, but that's been the real concern anyway. And if you're going to talk about where the bargaining power lies right now, it seems to me that employers in the economy have an overwhelming superiority in bargaining power, and that it would be quite justifiable to tip the balance more in favor of unions.
We must have some rights. I guess I have tried to be right, stand up for what's right. To find out that you haven't very much.
The result of this strike is going to affect every labor worker in this province and in this country. This fight is for you as well as for us. We must win or all workers in this country will suffer. We need your help, but we will win.
The union is behind us, we shall not be moved. The union is behind us, we shall not be moved. Just like a tree that's planted by the water, we shall not be moved.